Good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for sharing time with us on a matter I consider to be extremely important, and in particular, more so now in an election season. Last week, our Prime Minister indicated to the public that his cabinet had taken a decision to pay as an ex-gratia payment $1 million to the families of the victims of the horror at Paria more than 3 years ago. I have defined it as too little, too late. There was more than ample opportunity for the Prime Minister and his government to do the right, decent, and honorable thing. But days before an election, we heard the announcement, and we are pleased. We are pleased not because of any reason other than the fact that these families, and I speak on behalf of both of my clients, the Kurban family and Aliyah Henry, a child. We have received instructions, and over the longest period, we know the suffering that these families, in particular the Kurbans, have had to endure. And this $1 million promise, we want it materialized into a check. And we are asking that this government, because the Prime Minister himself has spoken, to deliver to this Kurban and to Aliyah's mom a check for $1 million in 1 week's time, which is the 14th of April. Because we have heard in the past many promises that have never materialized. Promises never materializing in the past. Mrs. Kurban will share with you the agony, not just of the pain of the loss of her breadwinner, of her husband, her beloved father of her children, but the difficulties, the horrors of their single girl child, Brittany, who before her father's passing had gone off to pursue her passion in education, of being a mechanical engineer, and she's at the University of Calgary. And every single semester since her father's passing, the families have been traumatized because they did not have the money to pay this child's tuition and her living expenses. They have had to go from pillar to post, borrowing to ensure that their child, their daughter, concludes her education. Of course, you will hear more directly from Mrs. Kurban on that. So today, with my colleague, Ms. Syra Lakan, President of the Assembly of Southern Lawyers, and her law firm Magnus, we have issued a letter to the Prime Minister calling upon him. In fact, I shall read it. 8th of April 2025. The Honorable Mr. Stuart Young, SC, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, sir. Re-acceptance of ex-gratia offer to Aliyah Mary Henry, and in relation to the other, Celisha Kurban, who is the administrative ad litem of the estate of Fyzal Kurban. It reads this: reference is made to the matter caption, for which I instruct Mr. Prakash Ramadhar and Ms. Syra Lakan on behalf of the applicant, Mrs. Celisha Kurban, our client. We have noted your offer to pay $1 million as an ex-gratia payment in relation to the horrific tragedy at Paria some 3 years ago. We are instructed by our client to accept your offer for $1 million payment while preserving her legal rights to pursue any matter before the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago, and for any and all other remedies available to her. Please let us have that check for $1 million on or before the 14th of April 2025. Signed, of course, on behalf of the law firm of Magnus. So I'll make a copy of the letter available to you all, because we do not believe that without prod, this check will be forthcoming. I expect now that the Prime Minister, a man who we know and expect to live to his word, will do all things within his power and authority to ensure that this check is delivered by the 14th of April. We do not know what will happen on election day. We really do not. And I do not want this matter to go into the background in the melee of a campaign, and then the results come in and this matter is not resolved, at least to this $1 million payment. So I'm grateful to the media for carrying this flame for the longest while. I'm pain that we all feel as human beings and as patriots in this country. And we are grateful, I repeat, for the singular ex-gratia payment, which is too little, too late, but it means the world when one is starving or thirsty. The slightest drop of water, the smallest morsel of food means all to us. So I'm very grateful to you. So Ms. Kurban, you may join me now, please.
The paper says, tell me any
Celisha Kurban, Celisha C-E-L-R,
So, Ms. Kurban, we understand, based on what was articulated by Mr. Ramadhar there, that, your daughter who is pursuing tertiary level studies abroad, it's challenging.
Yes, it is.
The financial difficulties to complete her studies is something that is weighing on your family. The payment of $1 million, again, while it cannot bring back the loss of your husband, right? It'll still go a long way in ensuring that your daughter completes or achieves the goal and the dream. Walk me through what the challenges have been like. I mean, apart from having to grapple with emotional challenges from the loss of her father, there's now this looming threat that she may not be able to complete her education. So walk me through what it's been like for you and your family.
Oh, it has been very difficult. Even the rent and food is very difficult. And she had to do 3 jobs and go to school and study, study. She was tutoring a child at once. Yeah, then she worked at a restaurant. She do as a cashier, and she worked at another store in a mall to clean out at evening to make ends meet, and which she didn't have to do that when her dad was alive, right? Because he was a pretty good job, and he was doing the fees and the rent and food and whatever. So since then, I had to be fighting up, she fighting up. We had a lot of help from Prakash Ramadhar and a couple other people, and I had to sell a lot of assets from the house and to make ends meet. So it has been very challenging for me.
Ms. Celisha, how long does your daughter have to complete her studies?
7 years again.
So 1 more year.
In a 5 year.
So it's a 5-year program.
Yeah.
1 more year to complete, and it's mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
Why mechanical engineering? Was it to follow in her father's footsteps? Was owed to the father?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So this is a dream of his to complete this degree.
Yeah.
Has she confided in you that it's weighing on her that she may not be able to achieve this dream?
Yes. They're weighing her a lot because they said if she don't pay for this semester soon, she wouldn't be able to graduate. So for the past so many years have gone already, and for this to happen is difficult. Sleepless nights she had, whatever she had to face. She had to face a lot of challenge.
What will it mean for your daughter to complete this degree?
Oh, it will be like a dream come true for her. And what she said, it would have been, she wants to follow in the legacy of her dad, and she's looking forward to do that. Yeah.
Just for some context purposes, what's the cost to complete this degree? What's the cost per semester? Walk me through that.
Like it's $190,000 per semester. So you have 3 semesters to go there.
So we can average just, let's say, out of this $1 million payment, $600,000 will be allocated to your daughter for studies.
Yes, it will.
Right? So there are people who might be thinking, okay, well, they're going to get $1 million, the family's rich, they're going to live right off in the sunset and live a very happy life, And what would you say to people who are thinking like that? What would you say to them? That that this $1 million payment, you're $1 million richer than you were before. It's supposed to make you happy.
Yeah.
But what would you say to them? That you have expenses, you have things to pay for.
Yes.
What would you say to those people who are thinking like that?
Well, I would say, they haven't walked in my shoes, yeah. When someone walk in your shoes and you know what to expect. And as you say, you know, it's gonna cost so much. So it's gonna cost so much, and then I have a lot to pay out. Yeah, a lot to pay out. So that's where it's gonna go.
My last question is, if you had the ear of the Prime Minister at the moment, what would you say to him?
Oh, it is long overdue. It has been 3 years. You know, and it's long overdue. We have been struggling for those last 3 years have passed. No one knows. You know, but I must say still thank you. And I hope he live up to his word. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And let me make it abundantly clear that the lawyers with whom I work, each and every one of us, each and every one of us has committed not a cent of any settlement, even this ex-gratia payment or the end, will we participate in. This is, in the legal term, pro bono, but this is really from our hearts. And not just for her, Aliyah, who is a child who lost her dad. She has an entire future without her daddy. And so this money, I have the instructions from her mom to accept it equally, but also to pursue all legal remedy available to these families. And I think it is important for us to appreciate, as I have been told anywhere I go, this event has defined Trinidad and Tobago to an alien place that none of us recognize. We all grew up in a country where there was caring and loving, looking after our brother's keeper. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. But the brutality of the events of that day and the brutality that followed since then till now, we cannot erase properly. But we must continue to make efforts to redefine Trinidad and Tobago as a society of conscience, and those who have responsibility, power and authority must exercise conscience. And as many have told me that this is the offer of $1 million, maybe just a political issue. It is, it has always been, because power resides in the political sphere. And the leaders of a country have to make decisions, but they should only make decisions on the basis of what is right, proper, fair, and decent, not only at an election time. So that even if it was the best of intentions, it comes across as cheap. But cheap is life, but expensive is the price we pay as human beings to live in a society, and we are going to redefine this. Prime Minister, thank you, and we expect your check in 1 year. Thank you.
Two questions, sorry.
Sure.
First of all, I remember when the Prime Minister made the announcement, he said that part of it was up to the Finance Minister to ensure that they had the funds. So do you think, what would you say to the Finance Minister at this point in time, given that the announcement was made a week ago?
Respect your boss. The Prime Minister is literally, amongst equal, there is none. Prime Minister. And if he says something, and the Minister of Finance doesn't appreciate the need to follow through on the instruction of the highest office, then something is said. $1 million, $5 million for the families in this period when we've seen billions spent on all sorts of things. Some good, some not so good. This should be the highest priority of the Prime Minister's cabinet and the Minister of Finance.
And second question, what would you have to say to the lawyers of the two parties who are, according to the Prime Minister, squabbling over liability, which is why they have not made a decision as to what to pay out with?
It is such a feeble statement that the lawyers could make, right? I don't know, and I asked the media to find out. The insurance companies for both Paria and for LMCS, let's find out who they are. I've been told I don't know. That's the same insurance company. And that when you deal with a $1 billion company like Paria, the law is very clear. The landlord is always liable at the end. And therefore, there's something called joint and severally liable. And at the end, somebody's going to pay. And Paria has the resources. I can't speak for LNCS. I expect they must participate and pay. But they, as they say, we can't be having, not forgive me, the horse starving while they make it hay. But that's the reality here. I mean, it broke my heart. This case has broken many hearts, mine included. When the Christmas after the death of these gentlemen, I am seeing barbecue that the families put up for them to be able to raise money to send the children to school. Paria, responsible corporate entity, giving out donations to schools and everything, putting it up. But the very victims of their actions were never looked after. What a shame. And then they advertise, paying to advertise it, what they've done. I tell you, something has gone terribly wrong, we need to fix it. Because as the commissioner, the chairman said, this was no act of God. This was not just an accident. Yes, there was a part of an accident, but when you took decisions or froze like deer in headlights that you couldn't know what to do and allowed these men to perish, that is equivalent to indeliberate murder. You had the position, you had the authority, you had the resources. You allowed them to die. And this is about corporate manslaughter. Ultimately, the country will move to a position where individuals can be charged for manslaughter. And there's a common law provision for that. If you have a duty to act, and you do not, and you know that the consequence of your not acting leads to death, that is manslaughter. So I don't want blood. No, we want peace. We want justice. If there's something called that in these events, this will go a long way in saving at least the child of this man who died, the apple of his eye, to complete, which is what all parents want, simple things, to ensure their education is preserved and protected. And I repeat, thank God for the generosity of some in the society. She has a lot of debts to repay. This will help. So this is not about grabbing any money. This is just making amends in some small way for an atrocious act and failure.
Just one question from Mr. Ramadhar. Come April 15th, if you haven't gotten any word from the Prime Minister, no sort of response, what's the next action?
He made it political. The country will hear, and they will make a decision as to what sort of government, what sort of word do we have. And ultimately, as I repeat, we will take legal action in due course. And I want to tell Paria and all the lawyers who have refused us repeatedly in pre-action protocols, they have denied any liability even after the Commission of Inquiry that we spent untold millions. Her Excellency's Commission, who has found all of these things, they have denied liability. So when you look at the lawyers' fees, how many millions were there?
15.
No, that's part of it. Part of it. And you telling me about Minister of Finance can't find a 5. No. One of my colleagues that is reputed got $8.4 million in that. People of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm happy for them. But I'm sad for my people. $8.4 million for one lawyer in one case that had no benefit to the society in the truest sense. You know, the average working person, if he earns $7,000 a month, you know how long he has to take to make 8.4 million? Anybody do the quick math? 100 years. That is injustice in the society. So 1 million. Gentlemen, ladies, our society is screaming for some level of return for decency. Thank you all very much.